If you have rookie picks in this 2026 class and you want to know who should I actually be trading these for, this is the video for you. We're going to go through each rookie pick in the first round and seconds, thirds, and fourths and talk about players that we would trade for with these picks. Again, our overall opinion on this class hasn't changed. A little bit of a weaker class, right? A class that may be a little bit harder to find better guys in the late round, especially first round of this class. In the second round, we don't like. Still the exact same opinion of this class, but just a practical video of would we take the pick or the player in this instance. If you enjoy the pick or player videos, drop a like. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. And the 101 is probably the most straightforward here because it's Jeremiah Love, and we pretty much know who it is. Now, I'm using a couple different sources of ADP here. First of all, sites like Keep Trade Cut don't actually have individual picks up yet, so it's hard, but we can try to use that. But I have a couple different websites that have ADP, so we're not just using domain startups, because domain startup pick values are a little bit skewed at the moment. We're starting to see these late picks go really late in these drafts. And so we're actually going to not use like domain startup ADP as our main source here. We're going to use a couple different sources to find exactly where these picks are valued. And so I'm just going to start with an either or. For the 101, I've got one for you right away. And again, we know what the 101 is. We know it's Jeremiah Love, and it's just a matter of where would you take him in relation to the first and second round of Dynasty startups right now. In Dynasty, this is Dynasty Superflex Leagues, assuming a half-point tight end premium. Would you take the 101 or Caleb Williams?
The 101.
And why?
Because of positional value. Running back versus quarterback, even in a super flex league, there's more value fluctuation, more volatility by nature at the quarterback position for a non-elite rushing upside caliber quarterback than there is for like a premier running back of the prospect caliber of Jeremiah Love. So yeah. And I would take the 101.
To build on that, not like recently what you've seen with running back values in Dynasty is those top end running backs, when they start producing, are starting to go. Bijan Robinson ADP, according to another site, not ours, 103. Jahmyr Gibbs, 106. You've seen those guys go at the 103 and 107 in our drafts, the 102 and the 108 in our drafts, the 102 and the 107 in our drafts, and the 102 and 107. So you got a pretty good idea. Bijan's a top 3 pick. Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 8 pick across multiple sources. And so you also have that upside. You do have the upside with quarterback as well. But like Nathan said, the scarcity of the running back position having that high in running back. You can get quarterback, elite quarterback production cheaper in Dynasty. You can't do that with running backs for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, think about it too. Like we have multiple examples. We have 2 examples now of recent purple tier, according to the bakery, prospect running backs, and Bijan and Genzi, who are going to get the same amount of draft capital as Jeremiah Love is going to get this season. And both of them, compared to the expectation level that we had for them heading into their rookie season, disappointed significantly. And Genzi didn't lose value. Bijan didn't lose value. So again, with a guy like Love, there's a lot more give for those types of those types of players at the running back position, as opposed to quarterback, where you have someone like Williams who's priced in the mid-second round or early second, and then let's say he has a disappointing season. Trevor Lawrence, a great example of this. Jaden Daniels, a great example of this, and they fall a couple of rounds just because of one really rough season. And yeah, they can jump back up, like Lawrence has jumped back up quite a bit after a really solid season with Liam Cohen, but you just see that fluctuation is so much wider.
What about Cam Ward even last year? Like Cam Ward was going 4th, 5th round in most startups, and he was going 9th, 8th round. Now he's jumped up to about the 7th round. But yeah, I think you make a good point there, but you actually brought up my next guy, Ashton Jeanty, or the 101 this year. You're essentially pitting 2 top tier level running back prospects, both going to be in their first and second year in the NFL, up against each other. Who are you taking?
I'm honestly going to plead the 5th on that one and wait and see until we know where Love goes. And I know that's a bad answer for people because this is the pick, not the actual player. If Fernando goes,
like you're saying to hold then.
Clint Kubiak going to the Raiders and Fernando most likely going to the Raiders is pretty dang nice for everybody in that offense. And if you have Love, again, I've seen him often mocked to the Saints, which I like. I'm totally fine with that. But a couple other spots as well. It's like, okay, you're kind of trying to split hairs at that point. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll just stick with the guy who had like the most yards after contact by percentage this past season. Like, I don't know. It's just...
It was 80-something% of his yards came after he had been contacted. The other thing, like the thing with this is like, if I have the 101, I'm not going out of my way to trade it for Ashton Jeanty. If I have Ashton Jeanty, I'm not going out of my way to trade it for the 101. So, like, in our opinion, just stick with the asset you have there. If it's involved in a bigger deal, fine. But, like, it's kind of useless to just pivot to guys in the same tier, especially with both of them kind of having as many unknowns. I mean, Jeremiah Love has plenty of unknowns, but Jeanty does too with the situation. Jeanty had a good year. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I know, like, it was, somewhat disappointing by some running back standards. I think Ginty had a great year given the situation there, and I'm not ready to short him. And finally, I want to get up into these two guys here real quick. You're taking Jefferson and Lamb or Jeremiah Love. So are you taking Lamb over Lamb over the 101 or Jefferson over the 101? Both of them. They're kind of going together.
Yeah, I'll take Lamb over the 101, and Jefferson's a lot closer just because Jefferson's market I've seen go as late as the mid-second, and that's the absolute floor for the 101 as well. Give me the 101 because I was surprised at how much people were looking to sell Jefferson after a really rough year, obviously, with J.J. McCarthy. But if that quarterback room continues to be up in the air, then technically we haven't seen Jefferson's floor, and he is 26 now. So was he 26 or 27? He's 26.
Yeah, he'll be 27.
So yeah, I'll go ahead and give the upper hand to the 101 there. I think it's a little more flexible and a little more liquid if you want to eventually move it for more, because it won't lose value. And Jefferson still technically could dip depending on who they get and who they end up with at the quarterback position heading into 2026.
I know you're not going to die on this hill, but I'm going to take both the receivers over the 101. I tend to like the insulation of receivers more than running backs, even though running backs have become very insulated in Dynasty, and that's really not an issue for them anymore. With Jefferson, I feel like he only has value to gain. Like, the uncertainty is really baked into his price, and I don't think the situation can get much worse than what's baked into his price is J.J. McCarthy. And so I think no matter who goes there, like, either way, you're talking about these three assets going within like 2 or 3 picks of each other in every single startup draft, and so you're kind of splitting hairs. But like for me, when I'm taking the unknown of a rookie pick and the risk of Jeremiah Love, as much of a sure thing prospect as he is, who knows? I would probably just give the advantage to the wide receivers there. It's just a preference thing. All right, let's go to the 102.
Okay, so the 102 is a little less clear cut, and really every pick beyond this is a lot less clear cut in terms of like what is the actual market value of this pick, because I think it fluctuates like crazy depending on what type of league you're actually in, whether you're in a home league, a non-domain super competitive league, a domain competitive league. Like we've seen in domain leagues, the 102 go as late as the 4th round.
Just
and
crazy.
I've seen the 102 go as high as like the early to mid 3rd. And where do I think it ultimately lies, where its value should actually be? I don't know, probably somewhere in between, probably like mid 3rd.
I think mid 3rd.
But the number of guys that also go in the mid 3rd kind of varies as well. But let's start with this one. Would you take? I'm assuming, because I've seen Drake London go late 2nd, early 3rd. I'm assuming you want to take Drake London over
That's not
the
close for
102.
me. I've got him around a
Okay,
bar range, so.
Here's another one too. Omarion Hampton. I would trade the 102 for Omarion Hampton hands down. I just saw a deal today go down involving the 102 where they moved the 102 straight up for Omarion Hampton.
That's asinine.
I think it is too. But
these are not close.
Here's the thing that we don't realize with Omarion Hampton. I don't think people are as high on Omarion Hampton as, not everybody in the community is as high on Omarion Hampton as we are, because of how
they're going to miss out.
iffy he was last season. And I'm like, dude, be prepared to be disappointed.
Hold on.
Be prepared to be excited, because Mike McDaniel is now the offensive coordinator for the LA Chargers. And yeah, he wasn't ultra efficient as a runner last year. His snap usage was all over the place because they had to ease him up, and then Najee tore his Achilles, and then it was like bell cow, and then he broke his ankle, came back. They eased him back up until he was starting to get like 70% snap share, and then he looked solid. But also you have to think like schematically in that offense at the end of the year, they had 2 of their best offensive linemen out in Joe Alt and Slater, and they couldn't really run the ball, and not as much as they would have liked to, because they were constantly down. They had a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball as well, and they couldn't they couldn't have like these long sustained drives when they were needing to force it and just pass the ball like crazy. So I think Hampton is a great take there. Like, even if you go lower though, like, would you take Nico Collins or the 102?
It's getting closer, but I'm taking Nico. Keep lowering it. I think the market value of this is much lower than this. Like, I could go a half round lower here.
I mean, Nico goes mid 3rd.
I'm taking Nico over the 102 right now.
Okay, so what about this? Would you take George Pickens or the 102?
Now we're talking. Now, looking at some different ADP sources here, Pickens is still going ahead of the 102 in most form. A lot of times they're actually going back to back. Like in our drafts, they've gone back to back 2 or 3 times. And so, like, for me, you're talking about one of the 3 elite wide receivers, or you're taking George Pickens. George Pickens obviously could end up hitting the free agency market this year. If he doesn't actually re-sign with the Cowboys, I'm a little bit less high on George Pickens than I am right now. I like him in this situation.
My break point for Pickens is the 103.
So you would take...
I would take Pickens over the 103.
So you would take the 102 over Pickens.
Yeah.
And it's one of Tate, like you're basically, I think I would take the pick. I think I would take the 102 over Pickens because you're basically getting the best of those 3 wide receivers who are drafted. And whoever is the best guy there or the top ADP guy in rookie drafts is also going to have probably the best situation and some of the best draft capital. And with Pickens, Pickens, as many questions as the 102 has, Pickens also has a lot of questions. You have no clue where he's going to be next year. And you also have no clue how he's going to look outside of an offense that was the best situation of his career. I love Pickens, but honestly, I think it's high praise to even consider him here. I would take the 102 over Pickens.
Last one, 102 or Jonathan Taylor?
I wanted you to ask that one. I would take the 102.
I would take the 102 as well. And that's what I'm saying, man, is often like JT is going 2-3 turn. And that's where a number of those other assets that I mentioned earlier are going as well. Like I don't think it's crazy, but that just shows you how much fluctuation there is in like market value of all of these assets, not just the 102. There is one big tier. After you get past like all of those elite level wide receivers, it kind of ends with like the 101 and Jefferson and those tight ends. After that, it's a massive tier that's almost more than a round. It goes like from the mid-second all the way to the mid-third and maybe even a little bit after that. So keep that in mind when you're kind of valuing the 102, that you might see quite a bit of fluctuation with like the assets that you're playing around with there in your league. And you might just have to mix and match until you find out what actually works for you in your league.
All right, as we're going through these, we do want to remind you about Flex Night. You have T-minus about 11 days to submit your team for Flex Night, so you better get it in soon. We have 11 plus awards that we're giving out, including the grand prize, fly to Indianapolis, courtesy of Domain, get put in a hotel, courtesy of Domain, come to the Draft Night live stream behind the scenes with our team, hanging out with Nathan and I, get on the show, get 3 Blueprint Premiums, get an annual. So we got a huge grand prize. We've got a prize for the worst team we've ever seen. We've got a prize for the best analytical team. We've got prizes for the best wide receiver, running back room. So again, over $3,000 in prizes, and you can enter at flockfantasy.com/domain. If you're a new member, you can use your voucher and enter it into Flex Night. Otherwise, they have to be a la carte purchases. So check it out in the link below if you think you have a good Dynasty team. We also have best manager, so best collection of 3 teams. If you think you're a good Dynasty manager, put it to the test and win some money because we're giving away some money. So go check it out, link below, and we'll see you at Flex Night. Okay, Colston Loveland or the 103, which would you prefer?
I'd take the 103 there.
So you take the wide receiver.
If you have a crazy tight end premium league, like a 1-point tight end premium league, which happens enough where it's like, yeah, that's worth noting, then you can take Colston Loveland there. I'll go ahead and take the 103.
That's a really close for me. I think I'd probably lean the 103. James Cook or the 103?
James Cook.
Yeah.
So I often say James Cook, Pickens, and Nico are my breaking point for the 103, where it's like 100%, 10 times out of 10, I'm moving the 103 for all 3 of those players.
And I'm looking at, again, an independent ADP source, nothing to do with Domain here. And actually the ADP for the 103 is the end of the 4th round. And so when you're comparing like James Cook and the 103, James Cook is going much higher than the 103. I mean, the 103 in our drafts, though, like there have been times where it has really slid down. So I'm gonna lower my standards here a little bit for you. Emeka Egbuka or the 103, because that's about where I've seen both of those assets go recently. Here at the mid to late 4th round of startup drafts, and according to our independent sources here, same thing.
I'll play the insulation of the 103 because I don't think we're to the point with those early rookie picks where it's like, yeah, they are not going to gain value from here on out. I still think we're not quite to that point. So
Lad McConkey or the 103?
Probably Lad.
I would take Lad.
That's a good one to note. A few weeks ago at this point, what was it, like 3 weeks ago, we did a sells video where I was like heavily advocating for Lad McConkey being like a massive sell because his value ceiling was so capped. Sorry, ended up being wrong about that because Greg Roman ended up getting fired, which I don't think was on anybody's radar. And now that Mike McDaniel's there, that actually does like completely change the landscape. Not only is the run game relevant, but you have had you've had multiple years of relevant high-end receiver production paired with running back production, where Mike McDaniel is actually capable as a play caller of making that happen when Greg Roman historically was not. So that does change the outlook quite a bit. Again, not something that like I predicted whatsoever. But the nice thing about Lad is he actually hasn't gained that much value since McDaniel has been hired. He really has just become less movable. People want to hold him more than they wanted to potentially offload him. So
yeah, again, that entire sell argument was predicated around Greg Roman being the offensive coordinator there. So hand up, that was bad advice. We were wrong. Sorry about that. But again, we just didn't see that coming. It was a very surprising.
I don't think anybody
if we had known that was coming, if we had known Roman was going to be out, we would have never put him on that
Roman
video.
was never said to even be on the hot seat.
So it was very surprising to us. But again, very sorry about that. That was wrong. Okay. And then last one here, 103 Quinshawn.
Take the 103.
Okay. I would probably, that one's really close for me. I would probably take I don't know. Chat, you can let me know 1 or 3 of Quinshon Judkins. I'm not really sure. Like I can see good arguments for both. Because I think when you get to the 103, you're talking about the second wide receiver off the board. There's a lot of questions there.
I would pay the 104 for Quinshon.
Okay, so that's where we're at. So we're right in that. We're right in that thing. So
yeah.
So the 103 again, like this is where it starts to really drop off. Let's go to the 104 now.
We've been ignoring the conversation forever. So many people ask us in the comments. So many people ask us when they DM us on Discord asking about follow-ups. The amount of times that I have pleaded the fifth on Rashee Rice has been quite a bit. Are you taking the 104 or Rashee Rice? This is a loaded question. I'm opening a can of worms.
I hate this question, dude. I think you have to take Rashee Rice. It's worth noting that the woman, I don't know, who posted about Rashee and was making all those allegations deleted their post. It's not our area to speculate over what's actually going to happen in that situation. It's more just acknowledging with Rashee Rice that repeat offenders in the NFL's disciplinary system are not treated kindly at all.
Well,
if he gets something like that again, I'm telling you, the suspension is going to make a huge dent in his dynasty value. So it makes him more of a risky own than what we previously thought, just because he's so unpredictable off the field.
He's seeming to be an alleged problem child,
and people kind of warned us about. It was just like, well, I mean, we don't know. Well, again, but I think with the 104, you're talking about the third best wide receiver here, or Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes #1, and I don't think there's. I mean, it's possible the Chiefs take a wide receiver in the top 10 picks, but I doubt that's happening. And so I think Rashee Rice's role is safe.
I don't think I've seen a mock post Natty where they haven't had Bane mock to them.
And I think that's probably I think that's honestly I am surprised Bane's gonna make it there. Like that's my personal opinion, but
really?
if he were to be selected there, like that would be insane. I would take Rashee Rice. I think the smart thing to do is to acknowledge that you have a proven player in Rashee Rice, and even though there's risk there's as much risk in picking a rookie you don't know who it is. I will take Rashee Rice over one.
There's also getting to be some injury risk as well. I will add that.
100%.
He's now missed quite a bit of time his rookie season. Then the freak thing with Mahomes diving into his knee, but this year, having a good bit of concussion issues, missed quite a bit of time as well. So that's something to note, but I agree with you. I would move the 104 to get Rashee Rice. And I think that's going to be our break point with Rashee Rice, where we're not going to be like, hey, you have to sell him type of thing. Like I think he's kind of settling into where he's going to be for quite a while, barring anything crazy, which is always a possibility, but worth the risk.
Yeah.
Chris Olave or the 104. We honestly, in my opinion, should have talked about Olave for the 103. I would trade the 103 to get Olave. Because
that's a 103 question. I would take Olave over the 103.
Yeah,
maybe that's crazy. I know some of you guys don't like Olave. We really like him. He's a great route runner. He's fantastic. So yeah, no question there.
Yeah. So with this class is super unique because again, the high end talent is there. By the time you start talking about the depth in the mid to late first, it gets pretty rough and pretty questionable. You taking short term league winner Christian McCaffrey or the 104.
See, the 104 is probably not going to be owned by contending teams, and really, like contending teams are the ones I would take the 104 still. I don't think there's a lot of situations where somebody with the 104 is trading for Christian McCaffrey unless you're coming out of a rebuild or a reload year and you're actually like able to contend. And even then, like I think it's really close. I'm going to fact check myself here real quick.
I think this is where, in my opinion, this is where the domain startup drafts take it a little bit too far. Is you've seen the 104 fall so far to a point where it's pretty dang close to guys like CMC and Scadaboo. And we talk about like Scadaboo in the conversation of like the 106. I think once you get to like the very middle of the first round, you start talking about like, hey, maybe we move one of those picks for CMC. But I think the 104 is just too early. And I've seen a lot of people kind of consider that as a possibility, especially if you're a contending team. I'm just not paying that price. And I think you could get CMC for
Christian McCaffrey in our drafts is going around ahead of the 104.
Yeah.
So, and the thing about it is like the important thing to note here is the 102 and the 104 right now are in the same tier for us.
Yeah.
So, we can't say there's a huge drop off from the 103 to the 104. There's not really. And so like most of the guys
in our eyes pre-draft, there's always the reason we prefer some of these guys that are ranked quite a bit higher, like with the 102 and the range of the 102 is because again, the difference between the 102 and the 104 is not just pick flexibility. There's more interest there, but also like you're basically guaranteeing yourself that second tier, whereas the tier break could really be after the 103. If one of those three receivers falls in Tyson, Tate, or Lemon in the NFL draft, there's a chance that they end up being in that next tier, which is why the 104 104 can be quite a bit lower.
And on that note, I think when you are talking about the drop-offs in this class, the 105 is where it potentially happens. Now, a lot of people, and I get having Fernando here, but like I think a guarantee. Here's the thing. There's no guarantee there are going to be 3 elite wide receivers in this class, like 3 elite drafted wide receivers in this class. One of those wide receivers could fall. And so I think Fernando is kind of the safety blanket for the 104. I think the 105 is where uncertainty is really introduced for this class.
Because you don't know if there's going to be a relevant running back or not.
Exactly. And there may be, and I'm hopeful that there is.
We're 100%. Hoping that it's Price and Coleman. Like, we really like both of them.
But I'm telling you what, I'm starting to look at some of these other ADP sources. These picks are going lower than they are in our drafts, which is crazy right now. But let's talk about the 106. Are you taking, the 105? Oh, man. Are you taking the 105 or Brian Thomas Jr.?
Probably BTJ.
Rome Odunze.
Rome Odunze. I've had this combo before.
And Marv, you're taking him over the 105.
Yes,
so we're taking all 3 of those receivers over the 105 this year.
What about Bucky?
I would probably still take Bucky with the uncertainty there. I think
the 105. I'm not lying to you. The 105 is where I get really scared, and pretty much everyone in that value range I'm taking over the 105.
Are you taking Christian McCaffrey or the 105?
I would take the 105.
I would take McCaffrey there. So
I think McCaffrey.
That's my like.
McCaffrey's a unique case. My breaking point for McCaffrey is the 106.
Yeah, mine's the 105. I'm a little bit higher on getting McCaffrey in dynasty leagues right now, but I would. That's where I probably would be comfortable taking McCaffrey. You're taking Cam Scadaboo or the 105.
I will take the 105.
I would take the 105 there as well. Okay, let me go down a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you taking Breece Hall or the 105?
Breece.
I'm taking Breece pretty. You're taking Breece Hall or the 104?
All day. Breece is a walking value win if you get him right now.
I think he is too.
And he's pretty achievable.
I like this one. Tyler Warren over the 105.
I think Tyler Warren's overvalued in Dynasty as is. I really don't see much of a difference outlook-wise between him and like Harold Fannin right now. I would probably take the 105 there.
I'm probably with you. So, I mean, that's it, the 104 and the 105 are pretty much going in the exact same range right now. And so that's a big part of this. Like it's consistently like, I don't know, middle of the 5th round, BTJ, Rome, Marv, CMC. Oh, we need to get this one in here. Luther Burden.
No, I wanted to say that for the 106.
Okay, let's go. Start with the 106.
Okay, well, let's talk about Luther Burden because Luther Burden is another guy that kind of like Rashee Rice, we've kind of just laid off of for a while. I think part of the reason was we wanted to wait and see if their value was really real and where it was going to actually settle once we got kind of deep into the offseason. And now that we're, almost a month removed from the end of the regular season, I think we have a really good idea of where Burden is being priced. And are you willing to pay 106 prices for Luther Burden?
No.
I'm not either.
No, I'm not. I think Luther Burden, here's the question you have to ask yourself. Would Luther Burden be the 106 in this year's class? I think there's a decent chance he could be. There's no running backs that go in the top 2 rounds. This is the case we make with
Scadaboo because Scadaboo's Z-score, when you look at the projected guys going in the range of the 106 this year, are like right by where Scadaboo is, which is also pretty close to where Luther Burden is. That being said, we kind of have both been looking more at the situation, and I'm not going to lie, more than Odunze, I'm not even arguing like Odunze could be better than Luther Burden. I think that's kind of a toss-up. I am terrified of Colson Loveland because Colson Loveland literally could be like Brock Bowers.
I like Colson Loveland more than I like Luther Burden.
Yeah.
Like if I do too. And honestly, like I like Colson Loveland more than I like Rome Odunze in terms of how like comfortable I feel with him. I feel more comfortable with Loveland.
I think Loveland will maintain. I think the likelihood that he maintains is higher than any other receiver here. And I'm just telling you right now, it's starting to become a little bit of an echo chamber with Luther Burden's yards per route run. And there are a lot of other metrics that are not just the indication that a wide receiver is going to have a massive breakout and be incredible is not yards per route run. Like if you just look at yards per route run, and that's the only metric that we use to predict whether a wide receiver is going to break out or not, or be this level of player in Dynasty, like it's more of a result of a really good breakout long-term than it is like the cause, right? And yeah, he's been efficient with his touches and stuff, but I'm just telling you right now, guys, at the end of the season, Luther Burden should have gotten way more snap share than he did because there was no Rome Odunze in that offense because Odunze was out for quite a bit with that stress fracture. Burden finally climbed in snap share in the second half of the season up to like 60, 65%, and it never climbed. it never went up after that.
The playoffs, he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything in the playoffs either. Loveland really ended up being the guy there. And I'm just telling you right now, like if Burden ends up being kind of who we thought he might be in that offense, which is more of the gadgety third true wide receiver there, because Loveland really is he's kind of a wide receiver. And if DJ Moore doesn't leave, which is no guarantee that he leaves,
he'd have to be traded.
He would have to be traded,
and who's going to eat the contract?
The contract is ridiculous. If you look at the cap hit in 2026, it's bad. It's really rough. He's like, they would have to get probably like a third, not even third, probably fourth round compensation to offload him for someone to take on that contract, or they would have to pay some of it still.
Who's going to do that? That's not
I don't. So
again,
really
that teaching your point. I thought about it. My thought process is this. I'm going to take my shot that a running back gets good enough draft capital, good enough landing spot, and goes at the 106.
Yeah.
And take that over Luther Burden. Look, again, like if Luther Burden wasn't in such a crowded room, I would take Burden because I think as a talent, he is 106 level talent. But you know his situation where I'm just going to, it's a gamble. It's a total gamble to take the 106 over Burden. I would take the 106 and I would gamble with it.
Yeah, I like Burden's price, or liked it a lot more when he was down in the Addison range than where it is right now. So
yeah, he's gone up in value a lot. Who else for the 106?
Would you take T. Higgins?
I knew you
or the 106. I'd take T hands down. Yeah. Jameson Williams, one of the biggest value fluctuating wide receivers, but I mean he's a mainstay. You always know the 2.5 round range, for better or for worse, where he's going to be.
I'll take the 106.
Are you going to take the 106?
Mm-hmm.
Man, dang that. I went through the emotional roller coaster with JMO this year, and I ended up being on the really good side of it. But I didn't draft him super high. I think I'll take the 106 over JMO.
I mean, so what's interesting here is JMO's ADP is higher than the 106 everywhere.
Yeah.
By roughly around, maybe this is by a couple picks. Like the domain leagues, he's a lot higher.
Oh man,
independent sources, they're really close.
If we end up having to have this conversation,
no, we're not. No, we're not doing this. The later picks are. This is where like the 107 on is where
it gets
it gets really tough. So let me just the 106.
One more for the 106.
Okay,
AJ Brown.
Oh, I hate having this conversation. That is so tough. Depends on the team. It really does depend on the team for that one.
I would take Brown.
I don't know. That's another one you guys are going to have to let me know in the comments. I'm really unsure about that one. The 106 and the 107 typically go pretty close together in these startups. So once you have the 106 go off the board, you typically have the 107, but I'm going to lower a little bit here, and I'm going to start with RJ Harvey or the 107.
Give me the 107. I really, really liked how explosive Harvey looked at the end of the season with his receiving capabilities as a runner. A lot left to be desired. Pretty much everything that you saw on film and his shortcomings as a runner, you saw at the NFL level. He's going to have to develop in terms of his vision for his opportunities really to go up, in my opinion, because I don't think there's really much keeping Denver from just going ahead and re-signing J.K. Dobbins or going and getting a Rico Dowdle to complement R.J. Harvey, for example. Like I think Harvey can be a productive 1A or 1B, like in that offense. I think they might run two running backs out of that backfield consistently. Two
running backs here, Josh Jacobs or the 107.
I would take the 107 because I think you can get Josh Jacobs for cheaper. He is plummeting right now.
The 107 or Kenneth Walker, a guy on the way up. This really is
probably the 107.
I would take Walker over the 107 at this point, I think.
You could likely pay the 107 to get Kyron right now because of the quorum concerns.
Yeah, you can, and it just depends on the ADP source.
I'd also do it for Chase Brown.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think for Chase Brown, like the breaking point is like the 107.
I think it's 107.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty close to trading the 106 for Chase Brown at this point. So, like, I'm pretty high on buying him right now in Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues. So, another couple guys that are going around there. Travis Etienne or the 107?
107. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to find somebody. Zay Flowers or the 107?
Probably Flowers.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely take Flowers or the 107.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the 108.
Yeah. So the 108 or Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is probably one of the most consistent, like early part of the late first range guys where I see, again, like him being moved for singular first. Usually see him go for like no higher than the 107 or 108. So would you pay the 108 to get Travis Hunter?
Man, in this class,
I would do it. I 100%.
I literally can't. These are ones I literally can't decide on. Like,
I don't think the dart throw, like the dart throw that you're getting in the 108 in this class is going to be no better than Travis Hunter in a crowded offense where Parker Washington just broke out at the end of the season. But what's going to happen?
But like
with
the Jags
BTJ,
are saying he might play
Myers
defense.
just gets extended.
They've been saying that for 2 years.
They have been saying it for 2 years.
I mean, I don't know.
So
I'm pleading the fifth on that one. You got to plead the fifth early. I'm not answering that.
Again, I could be totally wrong on this, guys, and I'm sure I'll say this multiple other times. But in his rookie season, when they swore that he was going to play defense, and he did, he ended up being a backup corner on crucial downs when the opposing offense had multiple wide receivers on the field. He was like their third or fourth corner, and when he started breaking out and playing really well, it was on offense, and he looked better than BTJ. Just saying. So once he's healthy and ready to go and back on the field, I think he's more of a wide receiver. He was a gambler in college as a corner. He got away with that stuff. He's going to have to develop a lot more as a corner than he is as a wide receiver.
Because he can rely on his athleticism a little bit more as a wide receiver as well. And he's a very technical route runner. He's a good wide receiver, man. Yeah. Who else for the 10?
Devonta Smith.
I knew that one was coming.
I'd take Devonta Smith on this one. Kind of for the same reason that I would pay the price, the 107 to get AJ Brown. I legitimately think, based on AJ Brown's contract deets, he could easily be traded this offseason. Mm-hmm. They could easily draft someone to replace him. Not like they would end up being AJ Brown, just saying like to kind of move some money around because his cap hit is getting higher. Someone would pay the price, New England, to go get him. And I'm not going to say like that it's a guarantee, but worst case scenario, let's say that worst case scenario, he stays. He still was a low end wide receiver one this year.
I would take Devonta Smith.
I would take Devonta Smith as well.
Still your turn.
Okay, this is where I think we start having the conversation with Josh Jacobs.
I would take Jacobs.
I would take Jacobs too.
Who else?
Waddle.
That's where I was wanting you to maybe get to Waddle or the one. I think you have to take Waddle.
This is I'm just telling you guys right now. There are a lot of players right now where we're taking over these picks. This is the season where you probably want to start investing in these players who have a lot of opportunity to move up boards based off their situation changing, because there's going to be so many moving parts. Tyreek Hill out of Miami's offense. It's going to look a lot different this year schematically. Like I think Waddle could be the primary beneficiary of that. Josh Jacobs obviously is kind of just falling quite a bit because he's getting a little bit older and he was banged up at the end of last season. But again, like when you look at the guys that are going towards the late first in this class, it's starting to get a little rough. So 109.
All right. Rondé Gadsden or the 109.
I would probably go with the, it changes so much. My perspective changes so much on him because of Mike McDaniel.
That's the whole point.
That being said, I think it ultimately ends up being like, where do you think Sadiq's going to go in drafts? Because we're talking about Fernando and a running back at 105, 106.
I would take Gadsden.
I think I would take the shot on Sadiq.
I honestly would take Gadsden over Sadiq in Dynasty. So like I'm gonna take Gadsden there. Like I would trade the 109 for Rondé Gadsden. Kyler or the 109.
I think we got to go lower with Kyler. I would take the 109.
I mean, I think the second, here's the thing. I'm not really worried about going lower with Kyler because I think the second he becomes a starter, he's instantly more valuable than the 109. I think it's going to happen before the draft. So I would take Kyler over the 109. Addison or the 109.
Addison.
Yeah, I'm Addison there as well. I would trade the
and you can get Addison for cheaper prices than that.
I'm looking at ADP here, and he's going very similarly to the 109. Like he's going right by the 109. Ricky Pearsall or the 109.
The 109.
I would take the 109 over Ricky
I would take
Pearsall.
any late first shot over Pearsall.
I also would.
Pearsall was the worst Bakery analytical round one wide receiver ever. And those are the types of guys that you're going to get in this year's draft. I'd rather just re-roll. I hate the word re-roll, but I would re-roll.
By the way, the 109 or Michael Wilson?
The 109.
Yeah. I don't really know what Michael Wilson's true price is, but yeah, we would take the 109 for Michael Wilson. Like, so I know he was on our breakouts video, and we made the case for him being a breakout, which I think he still is. And I think
it was more for early second prices.
That's where we're at. And if he's not going there, which it's such a mixed bag here. He's going in the early 9th in the independent database here, but in some of our drafts where he's gone 8th round in one of them. No, 10th round, 10-5 in one of these drafts. In the other one, he went 8-6, 8-6, and then 10th round again. So I don't know. It depends on his price, but I'm taking the 109 for Michael Wilson. That's an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just warning you right now. He's getting the Jerry Jeudy 2024 comparison. You just freaking wait until their reception perception comes out for Michael Wilson, and I'm going to show you why he's not freaking Jerry Jeudy 2024. That is absolutely taking a similar situation and saying, oh, these are the same players. Michael Wilson was a much better separator than Jerry Jeudy was throughout those both. And I'm going to prove it to you when he gets that data out. Yeah, I'm laying the hammer on that one. Let's go to the 110.
All right, Tyler Shuck or the 110.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you're probably talking about like potentially a Ty Simpson going here. I would take Tyler Shuck.
I think I would take Shuck as well. Shuck looked good.
Yeah, I think I would take Shuck.
Offensive Player of the Year candidate. He won't win it. Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate. Ted will get it, but he was up there and he moved up quite a bit.
They're both up there in odds, so he could get it. Who knows?
He could get it. Very possible. DK or the 110.
The 110. I don't want to own DK anywhere in Dynasty right now. And if I can get a first for DK, and you can get a first everywhere for DK. I'm not. It's personal preference. But in my opinion, that's one where
you think that offense looks any different with Mike McCarthy? Obviously.
Well, yeah, it's going to look different. But I mean, I think
DK isn't going to change how he plays just because it's a different offense. I think if anything, maybe they go for a receiver.
Yeah.
We'll see there. Are you going to take Derrick Henry or the 110?
Henry, not close.
I think I would take Henry as well. Henry, again, going to be in that short-term league winner category that we talk about quite a bit, where it's just their price point. Yeah, you have to pay it. You know that whatever you give up is going to be more valuable than Derrick Henry long-term. But with the production upside that you get in that guy like Derrick Henry, it as a contending team, it just doesn't matter. You just let him die on your roster, and you never really sell him because it's never really worth it. You're never going to get production upside of that caliber in exchange for someone like Henry. So I like him there quite a bit. And then one last guy here at the 110, Kyle Pitts or the 110.
Probably Pitts. Pitts' market value is pretty high right now.
Pitts' market value is very high.
I think I would take it just for the market value win right now. I think I would be cool with that. But honestly, I don't think Pitts is a bad player to own in Dynasty.
I would love to see what ends up happening with Pitts long term, because they obviously have a regime change this season, a new head coach, and he just finished his 5th year. So they picked up his 5th year option, ends up being the tight end too. We'll see what happens there, but I think there could be a pretty decent market with Pitts if he ends up signing somewhere else that's kind of fresh and he gets quite a bit of money. And again, once we see what this class actually looks like in the late first, I don't think anybody's going to think that's super unreasonable for Pitts at a price.
All right, let's go to the 111 here. Jaden Higgins, the 111.
I'll take the 111 there.
I would take Higgins. I think Higgins, if in this year's class, would be probably the 110, 111. And so I think he's a better prospect. Also, behind Nico Collins, I think there's always the chance he gets elevated there. He was also looking good at the end of the season. Kittle or the 111?
Can I get Kittle for cheaper?
No.
If Kittle, if the reports are really true about Kittle and him being ready very early, oh man, oh boy.
And these are contenders, so I'm giving you contending pieces here.
I'll take Kittle.
Terry or the 111?
Pass until later.
I would probably take Terry McLaurin there, going right next to the 111 ADP. And then Devontae Adams, I think no brainer. We're taking Adams there.
I'd take Adams easily.
I would take Adams for the 110 probably too.
Yep.
All right, last pick.
The 112. Let's go with Alec Pierce on the 112.
Pierce is a free agent, could go somewhere this year, could go to a great situation, could remain in Indianapolis where he's been fantasy productive. I would take the 112.
Okay.
Higher upside pick there in my opinion.
I would take Terry over the 112.
Oh, easily.
There is a QB here. Matt Stafford, the 112.
Until we know, I mean, probably with the 112.
I think I would take the 112 also.
Because I think that is one where you can get Stafford cheaper because of the uncertainty around his future. So, but I think Stafford's a great asset to own.
DeAndre Swift. Insert Monangai as well.
I would take Swift, but not Monangai. I would take Swift or the 112. I'm pretty confident they bring him back this year. Monangai, his ceiling is more capped since he's not a receiving back at all there. And so if I'm going to own one of them, it's probably Swifty at this point. I like Monangai. I thought Monangai was going to be somebody who stepped into that situation when Swift left. I just don't think Swift is going to leave at this point. So I would take Swift.
Last but not least, Bryce.
I'd probably take Bryce.
Okay.
for the 112. What do you think? I'm just thinking, like, I think Bryce is much better than most of the quarterbacks in this class.
What quarterback is going to be available there? Like, do I think that Bryce Young has value upside? Not
limited.
Really. It's very limited. But again, like, am I going to get anything better at the 112? I don't think so. Maybe at running back or wide receiver, maybe you get some like upside shot there for like a second round wide receiver, but that's kind of being like really, really optimistic. So I think Bryce there is fine. Yeah.
All right, so there you go. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you're subscribed. Again, less like here's what to do with your picks, and more. I wanted it to be more discussion based on the fly thinking, explaining type video. So hopefully you enjoyed it. It wasn't meant to be like. And there are a lot of those takes were off the rip. So I might think about some of these later and be like, man, I changed my mind. But
off the rip.
Yeah, off the rip. Yeah, that's a saying, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. No, don't make fun of me. You say a bunch of stupid stuff. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Don't forget about Flex Night, by the way. Enter in the comments if you've got a good Dynasty team. We have tons of prizes we're giving out. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon.